posted on. It's recording now, so we'll have this recording posted on our webpage, everybody. Okay, 6:03. We will get started. Good evening, everybody. My name is Darius Brown. I'm housing specialist with Placer County's Economic Development and Housing Division. Today, I'm joined here with Housing Trust Placer Chief Executive Officer Robin Van Ecklenburg. We are extremely excited to bring the first-time homebuyer program back to Placer County, opening it up. This program is for first-time homeowners within owning if you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years, it's the main definition point. And if it's your first time looking into the housing market, we're excited to share this information about the housing process, our program. This is going to be the first outreach webinar with you all, and we'll have another one for mortgage brokers and lenders next week. So we'll get started. I will review our agenda. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to each question as we're going. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the relaunching of the first-time homebuyer program, giving you all an overview of the details of the program, some eligibility requirements. Housing Trust Placer, Robin, she will be giving you the inner workings of the process and the details about what happens once you submit an application. So if you are here tonight and you have already submitted an application, we will give you some background information on the next steps and what to look for while participating in this program. So for the Q&A, everybody should, if you are on the Zoom, you should see that Q&A button. If we're on a slide that you have a question on, feel free to throw your question in that Q&A section, and we'll read your question out as well as give you a response. Also, we will try to create a FAQ for all the questions and get that posted up on the webpage just in case somebody is unable to attend tonight and they had the same question. And I see we got a Q&A there right now. Can you see us? We cannot see you, but if you can see myself and Robin, that's all you need. All right. So Darius here, Placer County housing specialist. Robin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here and spending Friday evening with you all. We have a big group tonight. My name is Robin Van Ecklenburg. I'm the CEO of Housing Trust Placer. We are a local nonprofit housing organization, and I look forward to working with you in this process and through this process. I've had the opportunity to work in affordable housing for almost 20 years now, and look forward to the opportunity to help you all in this process. Thank you, Darius.
Thank you, Robin. So a little bit about the first-time homebuyer program. The county historically has run down payment assistance programs under the former redevelopment agency in California. We have some loans currently that go back over 20 years, but this program here is a relaunch of a program that has been funded through multiple grant awards. It was paused a couple of years ago due to the funding sources, and we were just approved to administer our program again at the end of 2024. The purpose of our program, like I mentioned earlier, is to help maintain affordable home ownership opportunities for folks throughout Placer County. So this webinar is actually a part of our Affordable Housing Month initiative. Placer County Economic Development and Housing, as well as Board of Supervisors and many other departments, took up a proclamation for the month of May, recognizing it as Affordable Housing Month, and also making an effort to promote affordable housing across the county. And, you know, when everybody thinks of affordable housing, we always think about rental housing. But on the other side of the spectrum is also home ownership, making sure that home ownership is attainable at affordable levels to what the household income is. So this program is really a first foot in the door of home ownership and making sure that you are able to pay your monthly mortgage and not spend 75% of your income. Because if you're spending 75% of your income on housing, then other things are falling by the wayside. So we really want to make sure that the county residents, folks that are interested are able to, have this opportunity in Placer County. And we definitely look forward to administering this program as well as figuring out how to keep it around for the long term. So we have three funding sources. We have two federal funding sources. We have Home Investment Partnership Community Development Block Grant. Very key points about those two funding sources. Those are income restricted funding sources for low income households. And that means households making up to 80% of the area median income in Placer County. And then our third funding source for our down payment assistance program is the Permanent Local Housing Assistance Grant. And that's a state funding source, so it's a little bit different from our federal sources, and it allows us to serve a higher income threshold. And that is capped at households making 150% of the area median income. The real key changes to our program was separating some of our program guidelines and loan documents from one of the federal sources. That was a revision made, request that was made by the state. So we are at this point and today we are approved through all three sources of funding. Guidelines are approved and posted. So I hope everybody has had the time to go on our webpage and take a look at the guidelines, as well as share the loan documents with your lenders so they can familiarize themselves with the loan documents and the requirements of the program. So the total funding that we currently have available for our first-time homebuyer program is $2.6 million. And just like I mentioned of the AMI levels, home and CDBG, they're both capped at 80% AMI, and PLHA is capped at 150% AMI. For this relaunch of our program, we are hoping that we're able to help up to at least 25 households, and if we go past 25 households with the funding that's available, that's awesome, and that's a win. Once all of the funding is reserved and encumbered and sent out to qualified applicants, I think we will, with the demand that we've been getting from the community, I think there will be opportunity for the housing team to go back to the Board of Supervisors and show the success as well as the demand of the program, and then see what type of policy decision that the Board of Supervisors will want to make in terms of figuring out a long-term funding source versus grant programs. Because with grant funding, it's competitive process. Placer County is one of 52 counties in California, plus all the cities in between, and we're all competing for the same grant dollars. So definitely want to make sure that this program sticks around for the long run, and there are many opportunities for folks that want to get into home ownership to be supported by us. Right.
Thank you, Darius. Good evening, everyone. Again, great to be spending this beautiful Friday evening with you all, and thank you for making the about an hour that you're going to have with us. For those of you who aren't not aware of the Housing Trust Placer, we're a local nonprofit housing organization founded in 2020. We're dedicated team of volunteers that are here to make housing happen in our community, make affordable housing happen in our community. We have a large board of directors. We're a volunteer board, and we all live and work right here in the county. Our goal is to provide a partnership with the county and with the community and bridge the gap of housing, bringing housing to the community and bringing other resources to the community. So we're really honored and excited to have been selected by the County of Placer to help administer this very important program on behalf of the county. Darius? Thank you. So this first slide we thought would be a nice informational graphic for you all to understand where you're at in the process. We have almost 150 people in the meeting tonight, so the need is great. And I can guarantee you that everyone on tonight's call is at a different point in this path to home ownership. Some of you may not know where to start. Some of you may be pre-qualified and looking to make offers on homes. So the goal of tonight, no matter where you're at in the process, is to help you understand the steps to home ownership, how to apply, and other important things that we think will really help you on your journey to home ownership. So we'll also make this infographic available to everyone on our website as well. It will be in our slide deck and will also be an additional attachment. So definitely use it, and it's a good resource. Next slide, please. So where do we start? As I mentioned, we're all at a different point in this process. Some of you may be a little further along than others. I know for myself, when I started the journey to home ownership personally, my husband and I had some work to do, and we didn't really know where to start either. So where do we start in this process? The first thing that we need to do is contact the lender or loan officer. They are really important resources in our journey to home ownership. Interview lenders and loan officers. You want to be able to work with a loan officer who you feel that you can communicate with and that will represent you and has your best interest in mind. And interview them to see if they also participate with down payment assistance programs. That's very important as well. Generally, this process, this pre-qualification process, is free of charge. And you need to make sure that your lender has the down payment assistance programs, any down payment assistance programs that you'd like to use, approved to be able to use in conjunction with their first mortgage. So Placer County Housing Trust, we're not going to approve lenders. It's the lender's responsibility to approve the loan program in collaboration with their first mortgage. So it's very important, if you have not started to work with a lender, that's the first place that you're going to start. And lenders are going to look at things like your credit, your existing debt, your income, and they want to see what you can qualify given all of those factors. And it's important to remember, the better the credit score that you have, the lower your interest rate will be. So if you're in the mindset now of buying a home, focus on paying things, right? Focus on paying your debt on time, not extending new debt, watching where you're spending your funds. This is the same lesson that your lender or loan officer is going to give you as well. But really, you want to shift and be mindful of making sure that you're paying those debts on time. Next slide, please. The next step in the journey is, so you contact the lender and they're going to look at your credit and your debt. For our program, we don't have a minimum credit score. So we are going to look at your credit report. Your lender will provide us with a copy of that. But we don't have a minimum credit score for this program, but your lender likely does. And that will vary from lender to lender and program to program. So they're also looking to determine your credit worthiness, right? Are you paying your bills on time? Are you overextended? What is your balances in relation to the total credit limits that you have? As part of this process, your lender will provide us with a copy of that report later in the process so that we can make that determination when we are looking at your ability to be able to afford the home that you want to purchase. There are other programs available that you may or may not be able to use in collaboration with this program that may have minimum credit scores. For example, Cal HFA, and we have this as a resource not only on our website, but also at the end of our presentation tonight, have some additional programs. If this program doesn't work for you, or you want to learn more, that, is a resource. And they do have a minimum credit score of 660. So it's important to kind of understand the different programs that are available. Some of us on tonight's call may have no credit, may have bad credit, and may need to work on that. And so understanding where you're at in that process is really important. Many of us probably have credit cards. So, oftentimes we, on a monthly basis can get a credit pull, usually free of charge. If you don't have that, you can go to the website on the screen, annualcreditreport.com. You're entitled to get a copy of that. You have to pay for the number, but what's really important that you need to take away from tonight is you need to know what's on your credit report, especially right now. We're in an age of digital theft and people using identities. And so it's really, really important that you understand what's on your credit report, you dispute things that aren't yours on your credit report and get those resolved before you go into this process. And your lender can be very helpful in that as well. Next slide, please. So the lender is going to look at your credit and your debt, your monthly debt, and your monthly debt is like your revolving car payments and credit card payments. And they're going to look at that in collaboration with your income. And they look at, and it's important to note, we look at income a little differently than lenders look at income. The lenders are going to look at your income to qualify you for a mortgage, right? So they'll look at things like your employment income, self-employment income, spousal support. They may look at child support and Social Security income, disability income. But primary lenders are only looking and only concerned about the incomes of the borrowers that will be on the loan. Also, they may, in many cases, be able to qualify you for more than you are maybe comfortable for. And I really want to encourage everyone to really think hard about not necessarily what you get qualified for, but what you're comfortable with also in terms of monthly payments. The lender's not going to live with that payment. I'm not going to live with that payment. You are, right? And so as you are going through this process, be really mindful of not only requirements, but hey, at the end of the day, for 12 months, for 30 years, you've got to make that monthly payment. So make sure that that's not only what you can qualify for, but what's in your comfort zone as well. So lenders look at borrowers who are on the loan. For our program and for most down payment assistance programs, we are looking at the total household, and we're looking at all wage earners and all income earners in that household who are over the age of 18. So when you are going through this process, we are going to ask you questions like, who's living in your house? What are they making? Provide us documentation so that we can understand what the household income is, right? And what the household makeup is. And so that's a program requirement and how most all down payment assistance programs are administered. Also, we look at your assets, right? So there's not necessarily an asset cap, but we do look at your assets and include those as a calculation in your household income calculation. So it's really, really important is when you're completing your application online, is that you do it slowly, you do it as complete and thoroughly as you can. Take your time doing it. Submit all of the required documentation that we ask for. If we ask for bank statements, which we do, and we ask for asset statements and we ask for tax returns and all of that, make sure that all the pages are there, because incomplete applications, we have to go back to you and ask you for more documentation, and that just pushes your approval further and further out. So that's just a side note. Please make sure, when you're going through this process, to be mindful of that. Next slide, please. So you have a lender, they've run your credit, they know what your debt is, they know what your income is, and they're going to either deny your loan or approve your loan. And so if they deny your loan, don't get discouraged. It's a journey. It takes a little while to get here for some of us, right? The lender will outline the reasons why they have to deny your application. And they usually include things like your credit history or your credit score, or your revolving debt balances and debt. Maybe you have a lack of work history. So when I say that your lender is a partner and a really important resource, this is why, because they're going to work with you so that you understand what you need to do so that eventually you can get approved. If you are approved, that's great. We are looking for homeowners right now. We have, as Darius mentioned, $2.6 million for down payment assistance. And this program requires that before you apply, you get pre-qualified and pre-approved. And your lender, once they look at your credit and your income and your debt, will issue you a letter. And that letter will outline the loan amount. It might outline and assume our down payment assistance, and it will outline the sales price that you have been pre-qualified for. You need that letter in order to make offers for homes, but you also need that in order to apply for a funding. So what is down payment assistance? Down payment assistance doesn't mean no money that you need to bring in, right? So down payment assistance is a type of loan. It's not a grant. There's an expectation that this loan will get paid back. It's designed specifically to help eligible first-time homebuyers cover the gap between what they qualify for in terms of a mortgage and the home that they're purchasing. For our down payment assistance program, we're offering up to $100,000 per loan. And it's created just for first-time homebuyers. So there's programs like this across the state, and it's an affordable, no monthly payment required loan. So it accrues annual interest at 3% per year. It's a whole lot more affordable than your first mortgage. So a huge benefit. And it's a 30-year term. So that means that your loan doesn't have monthly payment requirements for 30 years. It accrues annually, it accrues interest. And then when you want to pay your loan off or refinance, you can pay any accrued interest and the principal loan balance back. It's used for gap financing and closing costs. And there is the loan repayments deferred until you sell or transfer at or at the end of the term, or in the event of a default. So there are some minimum program requirements. So with this, please, as you know, we're talking about this, be mindful of some of these requirements and your situation. And some of you may right off the bat know, hey, I don't qualify. And some of you might not be sure, and others may think, okay, this makes a whole lot of sense. So as we're going through tonight's meeting, be mindful of that, and think about selecting in or out of the program based on what you're hearing. And we'll also go over the income and how that works as well. So minimum program requirements. First off, everyone who is a borrower and who's buying has to be a first-time home buyer. We verify that. That means you cannot have owned a home in the last 3 years. We look at tax returns, we look at your credit report, and we verify that you're not a homeowner. And none of the borrowers for this loan can be a homeowner. The second thing is when you borrow this money, you're agreeing to be an owner occupant, and that means that you have to live in your home 10 months out of the year, and we do certify that annually. Also, everyone who is purchasing is required to have at least 1% for a down payment. So if you're buying a, say, $500,000 home, you'd need to have 1% down, so a minimum of, in that case, $5,000. For the home loan program only. And remember, if you'll remember, Darius mentioned we have 3 different pots of money. We do have a sales price limit of $581,000. That's just for that fund program. There's some other requirements as well. For the other CDBG funding and the PLHA funding, there is not a sales price limitation. You are also required, as part of this process, to take homebuyer education and counseling, and we will provide some resources in our area that you can use. I recommend you do that sooner than later. You don't need to do that. You'll have to have that done, and they'll issue you a certificate, which is, I think, good for 12 months. And it's important and good information. So I would recommend starting that process sooner than later so that you can get some of that really good information. We've got an hour with you tonight, right? But that pre-purchase education and counseling is more than 8 hours and will give you a whole lot of good information to make your journey in homeownership a lot more successful. Also, you have to be pre-approved for a mortgage loan before applying. The loans that we require for the program for the first mortgage, they have to be 30-year fixed mortgages. They have to have impounds, and impounds is when you pay your total payment to the lender and they pay taxes on your behalf. And the rate can't exceed more than, I think, 1% of the current market rate. So we're mindful that we do not want and will not allow predatory loans or lending as part of this program. And as part of that, we'll also underwrite the file and your loan to make sure that you can afford the payment that is being proposed for the home that you're purchasing. The next requirement for this program, and Darius is going to kind of give you a outline and demonstration of how to find out this information here in just a moment, but the property that you are purchasing has to be in unincorporated Placer County. And so we have a tool that we're going to show you just here in just a minute that you can use to be able to figure out if the home that you're purchasing is in Placer County, unincorporated Placer County. And the last thing, most important requirement, well, they're all important, is that you make under a certain income, AMI percentage or income requirement for your household size. So on this next slide, we have a chart for you, and this chart is also available. Chart is also available. There it is. Chart is also available on our website. So the numbers are the same. What I will say is this is the 2025 income limits for from HCD. These get published annually. So if you saw our website like about a month ago, they would have looked different. They went up, I think, about 6% for our county. So that's good. That opens it up to having higher income, low income families purchase. So we have 3 pots of money, and each pot of money has a different AMI requirement. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out how many people are in your household. So if I'm a household size of 4, my income cannot exceed either the 80% column or the 150% column. And so what we do is we look at all the wage earners that are over the age of 18 and do a calculation in addition and collaboration with looking at assets to see what your income is for your total household size. So number of people in your household, and then we have limits on the maximum for that. You may be very clear on what your income is. Like if you're a salary, that's pretty clear. If you're hourly, maybe you get bonuses and they don't always come and you're just not sure. I encourage you to apply. You still need to have a loan approval, but I encourage you to apply, call us, email us, and let us make that determination, because we do look at income a little bit differently than the lenders look at income. Yep. Next slide is just about some of the program documents that are part of our funding that is being made available through the county. And all of this information, just as in the last slide, as well as this slide deck, everything is available online. In fact, if you have a smartphone, if you're not on your computer or not on your smartphone for this, your smartphone can take you by using your camera. If you open your camera app and scan this, it's a QR code that will take you directly to our website. And all of this information is also available online. A lot of information is coming at you. Buying a home is a big deal, right? And you're going to have a lot to read. You're going to have a lot of things. And then adding a down payment assistance program just creates more documents and more things to understand. I really encourage everyone to read what yours, don't just sign things, don't just take somebody's word on it. Spend the time, spend this weekend before you apply, read these program guidelines, understand how the program works. The program guidelines outline how we administer the program and what the requirements are. There's a loan agreement, and you'll have access to all that as well. Outlines the terms and provisions for our program. There's a promissory note that you're going to be required to sign, and that's the repayment terms, and that outlines the number of years in the loan and the interest rate. And then you're going to sign something called the deed of trust, and that secures our promise to pay. And then you're going to be signing something called the resale restriction agreement. Again, all of this is available online. And it's really important before you apply and before you sign anything that you understand how the program works so that you're really clear on the requirements. So you'll sign what's called a resale restriction agreement, and it's a 15-year agreement, and it gets recorded when you buy and borrow a loan from the county. And it's going to restrict who you can sell your home to and how much you can sell it for 15 years. It's going to all the things that we've talked about tonight in terms of like occupancy requirements or income. It's going to outline that. So it's really important that not only do you read this information, but you read everything that your lender's providing you, that you get home inspections, right? That you read the home inspections, that you're present for all of that, so that you are very clear on what you're buying. You want to go into a purchase being as informed and educated about the opportunity that you're buying as you can. Darius, next slide, please. Before we go here, do we want to break and maybe do a quick Q&A? And we've got about 10 questions in the chat, and then we can go into the how to apply. What do you think? Sound good?
Yeah, the chat is it's going fast. I'm trying, everybody. I hope I'm able to get to your questions. Yeah, so we'll pause on the webinar and I'll try to go through some of the questions that are in the chat. So one second. All right, Edison, on the previous slide, the second bullet said owner occupy the home and certify occupancy annually. Robin shared that we must reside in the home 10 months out of the year that will be certified every year. What if we want to move after around 5 years, but still paying the second loan back through this program?
Yeah, great question. You still have to reside in the home, right? So in that instance, you'd have to sell the home if you're not going to be an owner occupant. Renting is not an option for this program.
Thank you, Robin. You see iPhone number of persons in the house or number of working age persons. So household size is the number of members in your house, and the income that we are reviewing are persons over 18 that have a job. And if that person that is 18 and they are a full-time student, I don't think we consider that income, right, Robin?
Yeah, great question. We consider a portion of that income, but a very small portion. So if you have, let's say you have a household size of 5, right? And 2 parents and 3 kids, and maybe your third child's away at college, right, but has a part-time job, we'd count only $480 of that income in the household size. So when you're completing your application, you're going to see that as a question. You're going to see that as a checkbox. Like, do you have a full-time student? If they are full-time, if they're over 18, if they are a full-time student over 18, include their pay, but also include their transcript. So that is one of the questions that we're going to ask you on that.
Next question here. Are applicants' 401ks reviewed as part of assets?
Potentially. So submit all of that. There's some caveats. So I don't want to say a blanket yes or a blanket no, but submit all of your assets and then we can determine what is included and what is not included in the calculation.
Can we exclude overtime income?
No, we look at overtime income. If there's what we do is we have to project out for the next 12 months. So we will look to see what your overtime income has been in the past and then make a projection based on what it is right now. So we would include that in our calculation.
The slide in the PowerPoint in the webinar will be available after this call is over. What is the restriction agreement, Robin?
Yeah, the restriction agreement is an agreement that you're going to sign with in exchange for your loan. And it outlines essentially who you can sell your home to and how much you can sell it for, and your occupancy and your maintenance, right? There's maintenance requirements. So there's a copy of what has been approved, not only by the Board of Supervisors, but by the state requirement to have that for our programs. So I encourage you to read that. And you're making an agreement, right, for 15 years for that. So really be educate yourself and read that, and then ask us questions as well.
You mentioned this program is a second loan with no monthly payments and a fixed 3% rate. What about the first mortgage? Can it be either FHA or conventional?
Yeah, great question. So it's really going to be up to the lender. For the most part, this program and most down payment assistance programs that have deed restrictions are not FHA compatible. It's not our choice. It's just how the FHA program works. So I would ask your lender. Your first loan has to be a 30-year fixed rate, right? We don't want your payment adjusting and then in 5 years it going up because the interest rate has adjusted. So that's a requirement for your first loan. And it has to be a 30-year fixed rate.
And what exactly are the restrictions?
I think we covered that one.
Okay. Let's see. Can you prepay the debt?
Yeah, so there's no prepayment penalty for the loan. You are able to prepay that at any point.
See, 15-year agreement to stay in a house. What happens if the contract is broken due to unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, you'd have to sell, right? If you had to rent your house out, it is owner occupancy. That's a requirement of the program. It's a requirement. I will say it's a requirement from the state and the federal government who funds this program. So we get monitored and audited on that, and we're required to make sure that folks that are participating in this program are living in the home.
We'll do probably another 5 minutes or so of questions.
Perfect. Yep,
Cool.
Perfect. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end.
Yep. I have a friend who lives with me and pays a small amount of rent. Do I have to count them in their income?
Is your friend going to be buying a home with you? If your friend's going to be living and being an occupant of the property, we'd include that income in the household income.
What if you refinance the home and pay the loan off? Do the limits and restrictions apply?
The restrictions stay, but you can pay the loan off and stop the interest.
Is this loan repaid through escrow on property sale?
Uh, yes. Well, everything, first off, everything goes through escrow, right, for your purchase. And then if you wanted to pay off, like if you were selling the home in the future, it would go through escrow. You can also call the county, let's say, and I hope this happens for everyone on the call tonight. Like you win the lottery and you have the money to pay off the loan, you can call Darius, right, and say, hey, I want to pay off my loan. Maybe you can only pay a portion of that. The county will accept that as well.
I think we answered this next one about selling the home on the restriction, 15-year, how much I could sell the home for. Yep, it is deed restricted to that income.
Yeah, I can talk real quick about that. So the resale restriction agreement that you're going to sign, it's a different methodology to calculating a future price. So it's based on an increase in the area median income. So if we were to go back to that slide that Darius had up a few slides ago with the chart,
Yep.
every year those numbers are published and every year they change. And I think he's going to show it for us again. Every year they change. So that percentage increase would be the percentage increase that you'd be allowed to sell your home for in the future. So if it went up 10%, right, from the time you bought to the time you're selling, then the max, we'd look at the price you purchased for and increase that by 10%. That's just an example, but we'll give you an idea of how we'd calculate that. While you're doing that, and here it is. So these are 2025s. As I mentioned, the household incomes went up about 6% from 2024. So if you bought your home last year for, let's say, $100,000, 6% of that would be $106,000. So that would be your new maximum sales price. I will say this program and any like it, right? This is not about, getting rich. This is about getting into a home that you otherwise couldn't afford. $100,000 of down payment assistance is almost $700 a month of savings. And so this is a really incredible opportunity. So, think of it as a long-term, investment.
All right. And then let me see how we're doing on time real quick. Get this down. Okay, yeah. So we'll do a couple more. As I kind of go through the Q&A, I'm seeing questions. Folks are asking, what is the timeline for hearing back if they have submitted an application? And also a little bit more on some income. Do we include retirement savings as income? Do we count SSI as income? So I'll let you answer those two, and then we'll jump back into the webinar.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, when you submit your application, and the next part of this is Darius is going to do a walkthrough of our website and how to apply. So first, how long is it going to take? It takes a couple weeks. You should hear back from us. If your application is not does not have everything that we need, we have to put it back to you. So if you have Social Security income, include that. If you have child support order, include that, right? And all of these questions are in our application. Make sure that you're including all your W-2s for all the wage earners, all your tax returns for all of the last 3 years, so that we don't have to go back and forth. A lot of the time that we spend is processing and having to go back and forth and requesting, documentation. So it starts with you. Make sure that you're gathering all of that information in collaboration with getting approved for your first mortgage, if you already haven't gotten approved yet. Assuming we get, a complete file and we don't have a whole lot of questions, it'll take about a week to 2 weeks to approve. And then you'll have, once we give you the formal approval, we'll reserve your funds and you'll have 90 days to find a property and to go into escrow. So Darius is going to go ahead and give us a demonstration of the website, let you know how it works and where you can find the information and how to see if our properties that we're interested in buying are in unincorporated Placer County.
Right. Thank you, Robin. And thank you all for these questions. This is exactly why we are doing this. This is awesome. We will definitely get an FAQ of ones that are left over in the Q&A. So continue to post your questions in there for us. All right. So this is Placer County's landing page for our first time home buyer program. If you have not been here, here is the link to the program, but you could just go on your web browser search, your Google search, and type in Placer County First Time Home Buyer Program, and it will pop up here. So when you first come to the landing page, you see the application. So this is our secure portal where you should click this and start filling out your first step to participating in the program. And there we go, loading a little bit. There we go. So here's our interest form here. So if you've submitted this form, you're in our queue right now. And as we continue to review, we're gonna check for completeness. We're gonna verify that all of these attachments down here have been uploaded and are still current. If you've applied and something is outdated, you know, you have something from, let's say like a pre-approval letter that's, you know, over 6 months old, we may kick it back to you and ask to get a more current pre-approval letter from a lender. So very important that you have updated all these documents. So this is the first step in our application is going here. We have some other documents that everybody on this call should definitely go and start clicking through. So we have a cover sheet so if you're in the queue, we will make sure that you get a copy of this and we'll kick this to you. So this is the formal cover sheet for your secure portal application. We want you guys to go through, make sure you're checking the box that you submitted everything. And then what you can do with this, we'll kick your portal back to you. So please check your emails. I think Robin mentioned that. Check your emails and you should see that from our platform. And then you'll fill this out. This is a fillable PDF. And then you can upload it back into your portal. And then the second document, which is good for our lenders, we're going to have a lender webinar coming up next week. But this is something that you should be working with your lender. Your lender should, you know, have access to our program guidelines so they understand how the program works, as well as the loan documents that contain all the deed restrictions, the resale restrictions. So this is our lender document where we want lenders to verify that they have read the guidelines, they understand the content of the guidelines, as well as the loan documents. And this also offers another opportunity for lenders to ask the questions on the inner working of how the loans are going to be rearranged. So these documents are posted on our webpage. We've gone over the minimum requirements. I'm going to click over to this tab, which I know there were some questions about property, figuring out if your property is in unincorporated Placer County. So this is what you should use if you have an address that you're thinking of for a property to purchase. Click this link and it will open up this tab right here. When you come to this tab, you're gonna see, okay, here we go. Let's get my formatting down. You'll see our map of Placer County. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna come up here. You can type in, if you have the parcel number, you can type in the parcel number, but if you have the address, that works too. And when you have a parcel or an address, I'm going to zoom in to show you guys what you're going to be looking for here. All right, let's see what I got. So it's going to pop up on the map. As you see, everything's already outlined. Let's say you typed in this parcel number right here. Let's see what I got. What you're going to do, because it's not intuitive, but you're going to click right here, parcel features. And when you click parcel features, the address that you typed into this bar over here will pop up, and make sure you click parcel features, the middle column. What you're going to be looking for this property is city limits. You want to make sure the city limits section says unincorporated. So the parcel number or the property address that you type in this section here, it will pop up on the map. It will be highlighted blue, like this little piece of land right here. And then you're gonna click on parcel features, and you want to make sure it says unincorporated. If it says unincorporated in the city limits, that means the property is eligible to purchase with the program funding. If it says city limits Roseville, city limits Rockland, city limits Lincoln, then that means the property is uneligible and you cannot purchase that property with funding from this program. So very important on how to navigate this web page. And if you still have questions afterwards, don't hesitate to email us and we'll walk you through. Income limits here, we already reviewed that and how to apply. Here's our email address. It is posted if you have questions afterwards. Here is the web page for Housing Trust Placer, our program administrator, as well as Robin Van Eckenberg's contact information is there. If you need to get in direct contact with her, please feel free to click on that link. And then we have some additional resources. Current interest rates. So that way, if you're wondering what interest rates are going to be when you're looking to work with a lender, you can click this button and it will pop you up to the current interest rate. So you can kind of get a picture of what those are versus the county second loan interest rates. And then here's the loan process flow chart that we reviewed. And then for webinars, this webinar is going to be posted. Once I get it downloaded, we'll post it right here so you can come back, watch the recording. And then next week, June 4th, we'll have a lenders and mortgage brokers webinar. And click this link and then you'll have to sign into Zoom in order to sign up, but you'll get registered and then the link will get shared with your email. So that's a little bit about how to figure out. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, if I can, that one is specifically for lenders and realtors. That is not for home buyers. So if you're interested in buying, that's not that we're going to get into loan specific questions. So that's not one that you want to sign up for. Just wanted to make sure that's clear. And our guidelines, so if you look right here, the guidelines for the different programs and the loan docs for the programs are there. Those are for you, right? The lenders have to review those as well, but you need to start reviewing those too so that you're real clear on how the program works.
Back to our PowerPoint. All right. Should be sharing. All right.
Thank you. Perfect. I had a couple of quick questions. If I can just take that and then we can go to the resources. There was a question on income after you purchase. So we never, I just want to make sure everyone's clear. We only look at household income up until you close. We're going to ask, like if you submitted information to Darius in the last 6 to 12 months, we're probably going to need updated information for the file. So, as you're submitting things to us, make sure it's in the last couple of months because we need current and relevant information to be able to underwrite your file. So I just wanted to point that out. But after you get your keys, we give you a loan, and you moved in, we never look at your income again. So the only thing we look at is to make sure that you're living in the house. So there's a question about an ADU. You could build an ADU as long as you're living in the primary home, and you can verify that. If you decided at some point to build an ADU, that would not be an issue with the program, but you have to be an occupant of the property. I think that's it. We want to go to the next slide, Darius?
Gotcha.
So we thought we've got about 4 minutes left here and are mindful that it's a Friday evening. I'm sure you all are excited to get back to the family, but there are some important, additional resources. Make sure you check the county website. There are additional programs for East County, which is the Tahoe Basin, East Placer County. So we work with the Workforce Housing Preservation Program, which is also called WIP. There's information on the website about that. We also have, affordable rentals coming up. So if you're not in the market to buy right now, but are wondering, what's going on, Housing Trust Placer is working on Parkside at Sabre City. It will meet have similar income requirements for low and very low income households in the county. And that's in unincorporated in unincorporated Placer in Roseville. So definitely reach out to either the county site, reach out to myself. We can put you on the website if you're not in the market to buy just yet. CalHFA is a good resource. They have financing programs that may or may not be able to use in conjunction with our program. They have different income requirements. So I encourage you to check out their website. And these are all hyperlinked. So this is going to be on the website and you'll be able to click through. For home ownership education and counseling, there's 2 organizations locally that offer this service. That's NWA Sacramento, which is NeighborWorks America Sacramento. And then there's Balance Pro, and I think they're out of Vallejo. So, those are good resources. Start that process sooner than later if you're interested in becoming a homeowner. If you're already pre-qualified for a loan and like shopping, definitely start that process because you're going to need that certificate if you decide, not only if you decide to use our funds, but if you decide to, if you're a first-time home buyer anyway, your lenders oftentimes require that. So good resources for you. And then next steps. What do we do next? We have a couple minutes left. So just a reminder, find a loan officer, get pre-approved for a loan. Make sure that your lender has approved our program, right? All of the resources that they need to do that are available online. We're hosting a lender training for them next week. So make sure to invite them and tell them it's on the website. Make sure that you acquaint yourself with the program documents. You can apply online, but you need to be pre-qualified. So make sure you're starting to collect the documentation that we need. We want PDFs. We want all the pages of everything that we're requesting. So, that lessens the time and back and forth of getting complete applications. And then once we approve your file, you'll have 90 days to shop for a home. So, work closely with your realtor. In addition to the resources Darius provided, your realtor should be able to tell you whether or not the properties that you're interested in are in unincorporated Placer County. So you can do that on our website, and then they can do that on the MLS as well. And then last, contact us with any questions, especially if you have like personal confidential questions. We don't want to answer those tonight, but we're happy to set up a time to talk with you or, shoot you an email and answer those questions for you. And I think that's all we have for tonight. Do we want to answer a couple more questions since we're here? 5 more minutes?
Yeah,
Great.
we could. Hey, the questions are great. Definitely appreciate everybody that has participated and posted some questions for us. Okay, let's go. If you refinance and pay off the down payment assistance, then can the owners rent it or sell it? Do they have to keep it as a primary residence for the full deed restriction term?
Yeah. Yes, you have to be an owner occupant for the 15 years.
See here. See what we got here. Program is available. See somebody said there's a program available. Program is open. Are the applications approved per order received? What do you think, Robin? Nothing is approved.
Yeah, nobody's approved yet. So we just relaunched the program like 2 weeks ago. So we've really hit the ground 2.5 weeks ago. We really hit the ground running. Board of Supervisors approved the guidelines and the loan documents. And so our goal is to get our funding out as quickly as possible. The applications are going to be processed in the order we receive them. But if you submit an incomplete application, and I push that back to you, you're going to go to the bottom of the list, right? And then I'm going to work on the next file. So, they will be approved in kind of a first come, first serve, right? So make sure that you spend a few minutes on, making sure you have all the documentation, make sure we can read it, make sure it has all the pages in it, and that it's current, and that will expedite our review process because, as I mentioned before, a lot of the questions that we have can be mitigated by just submitting the documentations thoroughly. So, and I know you all will do that. Make sure also that when you're submitting your application that you submit that cover sheet with the application. and you upload that and sign that so that we have that. And we have to understand who is in your household. And we need income for every member of the household that has income. And if, as I mentioned before, you have a household member that's a student, submit those transcripts so I don't have to ask for that, because that will definitely speed up our review process.
If we get denied, are we able to reapply after some time?
Sure. I mean, you could get denied for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe you just didn't respond to us. So, we deny you if we don't hear back from you. Maybe you're over income, and maybe you're barely over income. And we say, hey, maybe reapply next year if there's funding, right? If you've misrepresented something, that would be an issue, right? But you could get denied for a variety of reasons. Maybe your housing ratios are too high and you can't afford the payment that your lender is proposing. So we'll look at all of that and be very clear on why we're denying you.
Do you have to be closed on your home within 3 months, or just have found the home you want and started the buying process?
You have to have found the home you want and started the buying process and be in escrow. And if you're not, you need to reach out to us, right? If you're like, hey, I have an offer and it's getting accepted, right? We be in communication with us. And then, ultimately we need to move on to the next person in line. But if it looks like you're, going to have an offer accepted, and, reach out to us, and then we can make that determination if it's requested.
And then we'll do like a couple more. How long do we
Sure.
have to use the $100,000 loan if we don't find a home before it goes to the next person?
90 days.
90 days. What does it mean? No monthly payment required. How do you pay it back?
So you'll pay it. You're not required to make a monthly payment at the end of the term of the loan, which is 30 years. Or if you sell your home or you refinance your home and you want to pull a bunch of cash out, you would pay the loan back at that point. You came into, maybe some kind of windfall of money and you wanted to pay it off, you're free to do that. Maybe you only want to pay a portion of it off, you're able to do that as well.
Is the 3% interest rate provided only applicable to the down payment secondary loan or the entire mortgage?
This is only applicable to the down payment assistance program. The current rates are listed on our website, and they're right about 7% right now.
I will do one more. Let's see here. I'm still seeing some questions about the deed restriction. What happens if the property increases in value, but it's still within the 15 years for home or CDBG, or 30 years for PLHA? Can somebody just sell it at market rate?
No, I mean, no, we're required to have a resale restriction agreement. That's the way the program works. It limits who you can buy it for. And the goal of the program, the reason that the home program and CDBG does this, is because they want to ensure that somebody just like you, who otherwise could not buy a home in this market, right? Right? You can't likely come up with $100,000 any other way, has the ability to buy in the future. So that's the why they do that. And there's not that there's no room for appreciation, but it's just a different way that the home appreciates. I do want to answer, if I could. I see a really good question. Thank you for asking this. Do silent second loans in lenders' eyes get viewed as down payment? And do you avoid PMI? And the answer is yes, you do avoid PMI. So the primary lender is going to look at this as a source to avoid, right? If you have more than 20% down, and in most cases that 100,000 will be likely that 20% down, that will help you avoid that PMI, which is also an additional savings.
And then income based on current or average over last year?
We don't average, we project out. And so we'll look at your current pay stubs and make a projection. We will look at what you did in the past and see if that makes sense, right? So maybe you have overtime the last 2 years, but your year to date on your overtime is, not jiving with that. We will look at what you've done historically as well.
All right. Any final question you see on here that you want to answer for everybody, Robin?
Yeah. Will this program be available annually? So, right, these are state and federal funds that are funding this program. Once these monies are expended, we don't know if there's going to be another opportunity to apply. We hope so. And we hope that, we had almost 200 people on tonight's call, that, the need for, different financing sources to create affordable homeownership locally. We see the need. So we hope that, and I know that the Board of Supervisors has made a commitment to affordable housing, and this is one of the many successful programs. So we hope that it would be an annual thing. Right now, we can't say that, but we hope it would be. So thanks for the question. I think, let's see, I see a couple questions if I can. Like if you submitted within the last couple of weeks, we will be in contact with you pretty soon. If your portal has closed, we'll open that up for you to give us updates and to submit the cover sheet application, which goes into a whole lot of detail about your file. I will say, like, we use a very secure portal. So it's like Darius and myself and one other, person that we work with that has access to this. So we take your data very seriously, very carefully. So, we're mindful of all of the PII that we're working with. So I just wanted to let you all know that. So if you did submit within the last, if you're on the list and you already submitted, we're going to be emailing you and send you that, file that you need to fill out. We'll open your portal and have you do that.
How
Great.
soon do you know if more funds will be available to applicants after the initial funds have been exhausted? I think on our webpage, we'll definitely communicate. I might work with our public information office to create some type of, fund that shows where we're at with funding that has gone to applicants. So that way it's transparent and folks can see, like, if we're still at 2.6 or if we're at 2 million. And then once we have depleted the funds, there will be next steps. I'm pretty sure the Board of Supervisors will have us present information about the program, how quick the funds went. And then it's up to the board to figure out next steps for policy and funding for making a permanent down payment assistance program for unincorporated Placer County. Because right now this is all grant funded, and yeah, it's not a permanent source.
Right. Right. We hope we can find a permanent source locally long term. Right. Last thing, and then unless you see any other questions, I think we answered the majority of them. And these are really great questions. We're so happy you all listened to the presentation, are asking such great questions. One last question. Can you put more down? The question is, so we can use more than 3.5% for down payment. So our down payment requirement is 1%. But if you have more money than the 1% down, you can absolutely put more down, right? In some cases, you might need to, right? You may not, even with the $100,000 down payment assistance, that might not be quite enough to bridge the gap. And so if you have that, you most certainly can put more down.
That's down for the primary, right?
Yeah, it'll bring your primary mortgage down. Yep. Fantastic. Excellent. Well,
I think we're good.
Hey, I think so. Happy Friday. I hope everyone has a wonderful, warm weekend. Stay cool and be in touch. We'll be in touch with those who've already submitted in the next week or so. And for those of you who have not, get in touch with the loan officer, get that process started, reach out to us for questions, read, educate, and good luck in the process. Take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.